We are live. We are live, and I'm coming at you with five. Welcome to another edition of Gavin Reshaw Presents here on channel GBoo2786, also on Facebook, Gavin Reshaw, channel Gavin Reshaw, self-entitled. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. And thank you for joining me also on Periscope via Twitter. We have on a very special guest. We have on Mr. Omar Tyree. Mr. Tyree, of course, you guys know him as an author. He's also a filmmaker and screenwriter. He's a best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author. And he is the author of hit books like Fly Girls. And he has actually the monologue, a new film that he's working on. I believe it's called Monologues, correct?
Yeah, that film is already done. It's on Amazon Prime. Yeah, we worked on that last year. We have a new film, Money Talks Louder, that I'm collecting money to shoot this year in December. So right now I'm going to kick off my Kickstarter program today. I've already started asking friends and family for capital, and I'm already talking to investors. So it's going to heat up in the next couple of weeks to get the money for December, and then we're going to finish in December and January, and that'll be my new movie for next year. But Monologues is already out on Amazon Prime, and that's last year's movie.
Okay, great. Yeah, you do have that Kickstarter program you're talking about, and starting for that new movie coming out. If you want, you can send me the the link in the private chat, and I will display it on the page so everybody can see it and they can contribute to your channel, to your Kickstarter campaign. I said channel, excuse me.
Well, that's great, but you beat me before I could go ahead and upload it. So what they're going to have to do, you can get to my Facebook page, Omar Tyree, and then my Instagram is only one, the numeral one, Omar Tyree, to get to me. And then you can give them my email. How about that? Omar, the number 8, Tyree at AOL.com. People that want to contribute, because I'm giving out cameos in the film. I'm also giving up lines in the film. I'm also giving out special thanks in the credits in the film. And you can be a producer if you do more money, and you can be an executive producer if you really have capital and you really want to go after it. So the Kickstarter program will have all of that, but they can get to me at Omar, the number 8, Tyree at AOL.com. If you can list my email address, then all the interested parties can come straight to me, and then I'll give them the link, because I'm going to actually load that thing up and get it started right after we finish our interview today.
All right, cool. That's what's up, man. Oh, that's good. That's good. What made you? Of course, I want to go back in time too about your history and so forth. But what made you want to get into filmmaking?
I've been into film. In fact, when I first graduated from Howard University, my mother asked the question, so when are you going to produce your first film? She didn't ask anything about books. She didn't ask about newspapers. She knew how much I was into films, because we come from a film family. The McLaurin family in Philadelphia, which is my mother's family, they love movies. That's how I got the knack to tell stories in the first place. I had two uncles, Monte and Andre, who used to take me to the 52nd Street Capitol Theater in West Philly. We used to walk up Lancaster Avenue. I was the young nephew. My mother was the oldest of 8, and they would always get the money from her to take me to the movies. And then I had this crazy knack for watching movies. They were triple features back then of kung fu movies that we always used to watch, horror movies, adventure movies. And by the time I got to be a teenager, Gavin, I had an attention span that my friends did not have. They could not watch 2 and 3 movies in a row. I had that attention span. My uncles did that with movies. And that's how I became a storyteller in books. It had nothing to do with reading books. I was not a book reader. I was a typical Philadelphia boy out there running around in the streets getting in trouble. But it was the films that I understood, and the films that which allowed me to become a storyteller. And then I just converted the film ideas that I had to books first. But I was always a filmmaker in the making. So my mother, who passed away, years ago, back in 1996, I thank her for seeing that forevision to know that I was going to get in the movies eventually. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to push down that door since 2003, and I'm tired of waiting now. I got to make it happen now while I still got this youth and this energy.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm finding more and more people, that are actually filmmaking. I had on brother Rashad. I don't know if you know Rashad Humphrey, but he has been a guest on this platform, and he's a filmmaker out of California. I know a few others. Shout out to Marvelous Melvin. He's also into making his own films. You know, we're not waiting on Hollywood to do something, because if you keep waiting on somebody,
Yeah, because they're not going to do it. You know, and that's why
right?
so many black books have not been adapted into film, because that process is murder. The first thing they ask you is how many books did you sell, and the book sales is not conducive of a great story. That's not automatic because you sold, you know, X amount of books. You know, so the way that they even talk about the stories, because you have a lot of people that write original screenplays, they didn't sell one book, but I'm being punished for selling 200,000 instead of 2 million. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I got 200,000 people that
Yeah,
know the story, but when you promote it as a film, it's not about the book anymore. It's about the film. And so, yeah, we get a lot of, I guess, flack for not selling X amount. But I've sold 3 million copies of books that people know and have paid and spread around. So I'm quite good at telling stories. So it's time to go ahead and take it to film. The wait is over. I'm not doing that anymore. I want to make 3 to 5 films a year. They don't all have to be these super big films, just quality films, quality stories. And so I'm ready to do it with my brand, Hot Lava Entertainment.
most definitely. Let me ask you this: since we talk about films in Hollywood, I've noticed that there's just a repeat of or a remake of the same old stuff in movies. Like they're remaking. There's
Right,
already a plan, I think, to remake the X-Men after they've had
right.
the last X-Men. They may be bringing back, those movies never die. They may be bringing back another Avengers, and Star Wars keeps getting readapted.
Right.
Do you think why Hollywood? Just your opinion anymore?
Well, they want to win. They want to win. And so the copycat syndrome is always, you know, Warren Buffett says that people always follow the copycat. But a lot of times you have deficient returns when you follow something that's already there, because it goes down and down and down, you know. So sometimes the original stuff, they don't want to market original stuff because they know they have to start all over again. But the original stuff is what blows people's minds. If you look at what happened with Jordan Peele, you know, original black horror content, you know what I mean? His brother then already made over $600 million in 2 films for Hollywood with original black content of black horror, where we used to make fun about, you know, black horror movies. You know, the
Blackula,
Wayans
like
brothers did
Blackula.
4. Yeah, the Wayans brothers did 4 funny pictures, you know, scary movie making fun of how black people view horror. And now Jordan Peele is now the granddaddy of horror movies with 2 films
Right,
because he was an original instead of copy something. But he's now coming back to do Candyman, which I love. So he's going to
right.
do a copy too. But it's just one of those things where you already know it's a brand that people know and appreciate, and you want to do it again. So it's just a way of winning, and it's a cheating way of winning. But yeah, I understand it. It's because it's harder to push original films when you're doing the marketing.
Yeah, that new Candyman film actually was supposed to come out this year, but of course, dealing with COVID, they pushed it back. And
Hmm.
Jordan has, of course, the Lovecraft Country HBO series that he has produced. So, I mean, the man has been busy with a
Hmm.
lot of things. And yeah, Get Out and Us was really an original concept.
Right.
So horror movies, black horror movies, I can remember growing up, because I grew up in the 90s, would have been like a Tales from the Hood. But that was like a
Hmm.
horror comedy thing. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's interesting we talking about that because it is Halloween week. So yeah, man.
Yeah, so you know, I'm gonna be the next dude, man. So I'm working to be the next dude. I got plenty of content, and I still write new stuff. You know, a lot of new ideas come up. I got new ideas for the last week. I came up with a couple more new ideas. So 3 to 5 movies a year. They're not all going to be huge movies. You know, you make some small, some medium, and some large ones. You know, but when I get to my books, they're definitely going to be big ideas, because when you're writing books, you're not thinking about the budget of a film. You're just writing great content. And then when you go to Hollywood, they're like, we can't shoot this, we can't shoot this. And I'm like, why not? Oh, it's too expensive. Why? Because I'm a black man, it's too expensive. You know, we're shooting white movies where they average $50 million. None of my movies would cost 50. I take that back. Some of my bigger stories would take that, but most of them, you
Dream
know, you're
big,
talking,
Omar.
yeah, some of them you're talking 5 to 15 million. But for a black movie, Hollywood cringes at 5 to 15 million, and they spend 50 million on the average for their movies. And so it's just one of those things, man, where it's like, you know, they're still not benefiting us, you know, in a way where it's respectful to our art. And so you have to do it yourself, prove that you can do it, and then I will attract the money people to me. That's what's going to happen. I expect it, but I have to do the work that I'm doing right now to get it started.
Most definitely, got to do the work. I mean, guy who set that standard too. I don't know if you saw the Netflix film "Dolomite Is My Name." That was out with Rudy Ray Moore. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, that's an
he
old
was like
story.
one of the pioneers.
Again, he
Yeah.
redid the story, but we already knew that. If you know about film, you already knew about this story. They just put it on television now for you to see it again. But we all knew
Right.
about that, you know. So it's like it's no new thing. I'm 51, so that's not a new story for me. We all understand what he had to do to get those films out. And then we had a whole bunch of so-called black exploitation movies that I loved and appreciated. In fact, a lot of my soundtracks are locked into my Hot Lava Entertainment films because of the Superfly and the Mac and the Black Caesar and Shaft and all those movies that they said were black exploitation. They had the greatest soundtracks ever made. You know what I mean? And they had more black characters than we've ever seen. You know? Yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
Shaft, I think Shaft, of course. That Isaac Hayes won Best Original Song for the
All
theme for
the movies,
Shaft.
man. All the
Yeah,
movies I named. The
Superfly
Mac,
with Curtis
Black Caesar,
Mayfield.
Sparkle was another one. All of them had black soundtracks that were classic. And that's what I grew up on in the 70s. And so I want to do the same thing with my films. The soundtracks are all going to be dynamite, including monologues that you can hear right now on
Right.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime and Hot Lava Entertainment. That's the name of the record
That's my
company.
brand. That's my
That's
brand.
your brand.
That's my
All
brand.
right.
40 Acres and a Mule with Spike Lee. Hot Lava Entertainment is Omar Tyree's brand.
That's what's up, man. No doubt, no doubt.
Yep.
Of course, my cousin, because she's a fan of your work, of course, I guess I'll ask for her. What's up, Janae, if she's watching, about Fly Girl, because most people say they love him.
Right.
Fly Girl. Not only how did that come about, but I want to know what goes through Omar Tyree's mind when he wants to write a story. Like, how do you lay out all of that? Like, do you just a fresh idea that just comes out of nowhere, or do you sit and plot?
Well, yeah, you know, when I was in journalism school at Howard University, the teachers told us that every story is a story. So we're walking around stories all day long. It's just the ones that we deem important enough to write something about, to write something big about, to write a book about, to do a screenplay about, to write a song about. So we have ideas all day long, man. You have ideas all day long, but you blow them aside. You don't really take them as something that you can make something out of. And I look at a lot of ideas and I make a story out of it. You know what I mean? So with my stories, as a story writer who's a professional, I always come up with the beginning and the ending every single time. As soon as I have an idea, I say, how do I start this? How do I end it? And then I'll figure out the middle part. But that's the difference between expert storytellers and people who are trying to do stories. They don't come up with the beginning and the ending, and so they're all over the place trying to figure it out. I come up with the beginning and the ending all of the time, so I know exactly where I'm starting, exactly what my end point is, and then I fill in all the middle with all the details that I want to have to get from that beginning to that ending. And so it's the same process every single time, and that's why I'm able to consistently tell stories with no problem. It's easy to me. The hard part is raising the capital to do it, and that's the hard part that I'm working on right now. But once I start getting that capital coming in, I already know people are going to continue to contribute and continue to invest, and I will continue doing movies for our community.
Most definitely. This what's up. Yeah. Do you write most, and of course, so you write a beginning and end. Wow. So it's just something you plot out what your beginning is and your ending, and then you just fill it in from that point on. Do you time yourself as far as, okay, I'm going to write this thing within the next 3 months or so, or do you have no time at all? You just work on it or?
I'm a passion writer, so I typically finish books in 2 to 4 months. Books are a lot longer than screenplays. I can knock a screenplay out in a week. I did my Fly Girl screenplay in a week because I already knew what I wanted to say, and then all the rest of my books, a week or two, because I already know the content. And even when I do original ideas like Money Talks Louder, I've been riding around with the idea for the last month. So now when I sit down to write it, which will be next week, it's easy because I already know what I want to do. And so it's not like I'm coming up with an idea and I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about it every day, thinking about new ideas for the story, thinking about new dialogue, thinking about new characters. And so when I finally sit down, it just comes out like a hurricane because I've already been thinking about it. I'm not waiting on it. It's always on my mind. I just haven't written it yet. And so that's my process. I'm always thinking about things. You can't write what you don't know. So you're going to have to do research on it. And the things that I don't know, for Money Talks Louder, I'm going to make phone calls and visit people and ask them questions. I do have a degree in journalism, and I use it all the time. I ask plenty of questions so I can get it right. I don't make stuff up as people think you do in the arts. You don't make it up when you're a professional writer. You're always investigating and researching what you want to write about because you don't know everything. And if you're only writing what you know, I tell people all the time, you only got 3 projects in you because then you're going to start to be redundant. We're always writing what we research and what we're interested in. That's what professional writers do. And so, yeah, if I don't have all the content already, I'm going to go ask some questions and research.
Good, most definitely. Have you done mostly, I know you do fiction, but have you ever ventured into the nonfiction aspect?
I wrote the autobiography of Marion Barry. I wrote a business book called The Equation. I wrote children's books. I can write anything. I have that acronym to write anything. But typically what happens when people try to commission me to write, they don't have a budget. So I'm not going to write something you don't have it. This is a profession for me. And so a lot of times when I'm writing fiction, it's my story. I'm getting the advance from it from the publishers, and therefore I'm already paid to write it, and I know I can execute it on my time. If I'm writing something with you and you don't have a budget, and then you have a busy schedule, now it takes me extra time, and I'm not getting paid when I want to get paid for it. So that's the difference between fiction and nonfiction. I control everything in fiction. Typically in nonfiction, I don't control everything because I'm working on a book with someone else. Or if I do a nonfiction idea, I'm thinking, okay, is this idea going to pay off like my fiction ideas pay off? So a lot of times, even though I've had nonfiction ideas, they don't come off as quickly and as economically solid as my fiction ideas because I came in that way and I was respected that way. But I can write anything. But again, at the end of the day, it has to make dollars and cents. And a lot of the nonfiction projects did not make dollars and cents. I was going to make less money with more time invested, and that just didn't make sense for me.
Yeah, I've written a nonfiction book on Katrina back that was in 2008. And I just remember the amount of research that it took for me because I was doing this by myself with the help of family and friends, mostly my family, to try and map out exactly what it was I was going to talk about, put in there. And I conducted interviews with different people. And I put interviews in the book too myself. And it's like, well, do I have too much of this? Is this drawn out? Do I really want all of this stuff in this?
Right. So you end up
So
doing a whole lot of work. And then at the end of it, how interested are people to read that work? You know what I mean? With the fiction, I can make it as interesting as I want. With nonfiction, you're locked into the research, you're locked into whatever you come up with, and you can't jazz it up, And so, yeah, there's restrictions in nonfiction that you don't have in fiction. Fiction allows you to be a lot more creative. Right.
And you can use your imagination. Yeah. Well, I look at, and I'm working on another nonfiction right now.
Well, you say imagination. You say imagination, but look at it this way. Let's say me and you both had different experiences, right? We both fly out to California. You got your story, I got my story. Your story is different from mine, but it's interesting. My story is different from yours, but it's interesting. In fiction, I can combine both of them. But in nonfiction, if it's your story or my story, now we can't unless we do your story, mine. But in fiction, I can make one character go through both things. So it's not like I'm using my imagination. We always think I'm always making it up. No, you can combine as much information as you want in fiction and put it in one character. You can't do that in nonfiction. And so fiction is, Stephen King said, is the lie that tells the truth. So you can take all the truths of multiple people, put it in one character, and make that one character more interesting. You're not making it up. You're not imagining it. It's just more research that you put into one character in fiction. So I always tell people, fiction is a monster that you don't understand the way I understand it.
Okay. That's a good way. That's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
I was because I looked at the movies in this book, The Godfather, that Mario Puzo did. He based that off of real life people. All of the characters were modeled off of someone. I mean, Johnny Fontaine's modeled off of Frank Sinatra.
Let me
Yeah,
tell you something. Every
yeah,
character's model. You got to understand when you guys make that separation between fiction and nonfiction. Understand that when you're looking at fiction, you're looking at humans, right? And if
right.
these stories don't apply to regular life, why would you watch that movie if it makes no sense? So all the stuff that we write in fiction makes sense, because if it didn't, you're not going to watch it. So even if you're doing science fiction, they're going to apply laws of science in that science fiction movie and things that they could imagine to happen, right? And so they're already thinking about this, and then they put human conditions in those aliens, in the monster, the whole thing that we fear. That's all human stuff. So with the fiction word, man, it crazy, but we always do that, try to make this separation between nonfiction and fiction. It's all the same, man. Fiction allows you to do a lot more with facts, because I'm using facts all the time. I'm not making stuff up. I'm using facts, the facts of life, and every story that I tell.
Okay, great. Let's go. All right, go. That's a good point. So you just some information about you, Omar. Now you are born and raised in from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Are you back there now, or?
No, I lived in Charlotte right now. I've been living here for the last 20 years. I love it in Charlotte, but I'm always going to be a Philadelphian. We have very strong personalities, very strong community, so you never can take the Philadelphia out of me. But I've been loving Charlotte. My whole family from Philly has come down and visit me in Charlotte multiple times. They love it down here too, but we're all Philadelphians. So we're going to be Philadelphians. We're going to act like Philadelphians, and we're very strong. And people going to get that. A lot of times they read my books but don't know my personality. Now when I start doing films, I'm going to get a lot more interviews, and you're going to get to know my personality. And it's staunchly Philadelphia.
Staunchly Philadelphia, yeah.
Right.
And brother, you are also a graduate of Howard University.
Right.
That was actually, of course, everyone knows. All of us have know of Howard, and a lot of alumni that have gone there, from Thurgood
Right.
Marshall to the brother Chadwick Boseman, who just passed, God rest his soul, and yourself. Who was
Toni Morrison.
Toni
Yep.
Morrison? Yeah. Was
Yep.
Charles Houston the grad? I
And then
think Charles
Taraji, the young
Roger
woman
Piazza.
Taraji, and Chaz Boseman, who just passed away. Rest in
Right.
peace to
I
him.
met him.
Another Howard grad. Yeah, Puff Daddy would have been a Howard grad if he didn't jump into music before he finished. But he's a Howard man. So yeah, the
Yeah.
Mecca puts out a lot of great people, and Washington D.C. is like my second home. I started my writing career as a not book writer, journalist, and DC, and then started my own company, Mars Productions, putting out my own books. And so DC is like second home to me. And I got stories for DC too. And so yeah, I'm a Philadelphian with a lot of roots, Howard University grad, and a Central High School graduate. That's the #1 academic school in Philadelphia, and I'm very proud of that. I was always competitive.
Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fellow HBCU alum myself, Southern
Oh, great on HBCU, brother.
grad, Southern Nation.
Right on.
Aeneas Williams, yeah, a bunch of people. Brandy's
So you
mama.
went to Southern? You said you
Yeah,
went to Southern?
yeah,
Yeah, I spoke there one time. I used to speak at all the colleges when Black people used to read more, in the 90s and the early 2000s. Now I haven't been invited to a college in about 3-4 years, man. They stopped inviting folks. Now they're inviting reality show people. And I'm like, what are they going to talk about? How they smash somebody up in the head? Who's dating who's sleeping with who don't like who? It's silly, man, the stuff that, comes off as Black entertainment and Black television now. It's ridiculous. But some people are breaking through with great stories and great concepts, and we just have to keep pushing. And so it's my turn now, and I'm coming in with my films and my ideas and my book adaptations.
most definitely. John, what's interesting too, John Singleton, before he passed, he actually spoke. Mentioned that we had him come to because I was also at Southern Law Center. He actually came like a couple of years before he passed, but I remember there was practically only a few people that were in attendance. It was a nice, like in an auditorium, but somebody like John Singleton, who director of Boys in the Hood, Baby Boy, and so forth, it was, you know, a packed auditorium or anything like that, because he was
Right.
his movie had a great impact on our culture, you know.
Right. Well, you know, then John Singleton is another one. I did an interview with John Singleton talking about us writers from the Black community, and we're a very small group, you know, particularly men. You know, there's a whole lot more women are doing writing, but women don't get a chance to do films. So women do a lot more novel writing. They don't get a chance to do films. And so it's just a very small community of individuals who write and can get all of it done. And so, yeah, knowing that I'm in that special space and my stories haven't been adapted into film, I have to go ahead and make it happen, man, while I'm still alive and kicking and still healthy and well. So it's time for me to make it happen by any means necessary, as the Malcolm X statement goes. It's my turn now.
Everybody, I want you to see the screen. This is Omar's website, omartyree.com, and you see where it says Downstreaming Monologues is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so you got my
And
email on
the
there.
movie
And
Fly
everybody
Dogs,
can email me
your
who
email
wants to get involved in financing the film or being a part of the film. Of course, you get a lot more people want to be in the film than financing. But if I don't have financing, there will be no film. So we got to understand that the priority first is to get the money to do the film. Yeah, you got to have the money.
In order to
We
make money, you got to spend money.
Hey man, you got to do it. You know, so we can have all the talent in the world, but if I don't have the money to shoot it, it's not going to happen. So we all have to contribute, and then definitely I'm going to fill it in with all the people that I can put in there, because you got to have a whole lot of extras to make it look like normal society. I lost you. I can't hear you. I lost your audio. Brother Richardson, I lost your audio. Uh-oh. Hopefully you come back on somehow. Let me see. I got the cam. Like the chat. Mic and the cam. I got everything set up. Something must have went wrong when you're in. We had a great talk, rocking and rolling. I don't know if you need to call me back and restart it, but I'm going to go ahead and charge this phone up because I know I'm running out of juice on the phone too. Hit me back, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. I don't know what happened. We got kicked. I got kicked out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So what I was asked, I was Wikipedia page, but I know that has to be updated. You even said because
that daggone Wikipedia page, yeah. And I got to figure out how to update that thing, you know, because people always reading 16 books, and I'm like, hey, that was a long time ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, definitely that has to be updated, you know. So you can better off going to my website at omartyree.com or at Hot Lava Entertainment. It's going to be where I'm going to put most of my energy in the brand Hot Lava. So if you go over to Hot Lava Entertainment, everything is spelled correctly. Hot Lava, like the lava that runs out of a volcano, L-A-V-A. Entertainment is spelled normally. So I don't have any fancy spellings. It's the regular spelling, Hot Lava Entertainment.com. And then you'll see, you know, the link to my book page and the link to the films that I'm doing and the music that I'm going to be doing, because like I said earlier, I love soundtracks. I love music. I'm from Philadelphia. Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff had a tremendous impact on the Philadelphia sound and music. And so I know how to make music that's funky and says something, which a lot of these young people are challenged with today because they just want to chase the money, and they're making a lot of music that is not music that is progressive for our community. I should say.
Did you meet those guys, Gamble and Huff?
I haven't met him yet, but I've been calling Kenny Gamble a multitude of times. He's doing a whole lot of educational programs in schools, charter schools in Philadelphia, so he's quite busy with that. But I do have his number, and he's a legend, so I'm going to meet him eventually. But, you know, again, I wasn't in the music field, so moving over there, you know what I mean? A lot of guys who were in the music field met him already, but I will meet him eventually. But I do have his number.
Yeah, make sure, Omar, because I'm sure you know this, but make sure you have your copyright and publishing all down with your music, because they got a lot of brothers I know in the music industry who've written hit songs and have gotten no credit for it, no money for it, and that's how the music industry traditionally works. But
With people like that, you talking about not getting credit. Nobody's producing the music but me. Yeah, it's not like they want to do songs that I'm doing. I produce everything. I'm in studio. I write it. I find the beats. I pay for the beats. I copyright it. So that's not going to happen with me, because it's not like I'm sending songs to someone else to produce. I'm producing all the songs myself. In fact, I got a whole album out that I just did. It's the fourth album. It's called the Last Summer. You can get that on all your music app stores right now. 16 cuts. I produced every last one of them. And so I'm not concerned about that, dude, because nobody's taking my song. I don't send them out places where other people do them, because they don't look at me as a guy that can do music. And so sometimes when you end up doing it yourself, you have an advantage because you're forced to do it yourself. So you're talking about people that have ties to the music industry who send songs out, and then somebody else makes a song and they think they're going to get credit for it. But that doesn't happen with me. I'm making all my own music. And so nobody can steal stuff if they're not interested in it. You know what I mean? So I'm putting my own music out, and then the audience is going to love it and learn to deal with it, from the soundtracks and all the different young artists that I'm getting in contact with right now. So yeah, I hear that. But yeah, when I tried to send music out, they wanted you to do references and all that. And I do my own references. They want you to pay for a reference singer. And I'm like, you can't hear where I'm going with it. And so it's a lot of, I guess I call it, blocking systems that block you from getting a lot of content out. So when you end up doing it yourself, that's when you create your own label and you end up controlling everything you do. And I'm in that position right now.
Right. Yeah. You're independent. You know, you do for yourself, and things.
I'm independent. I'm independent because I have to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody wants to do it. You know, he's not a music guy. And so I end up with that advantage of being able to do it. And St. Tyler Perry did it the same way, man. If you remember, a lot of people didn't look at his work as being good work. And so he put it out himself, and that means he controlled all of it. That's why he's a billionaire now, because he owned all of his work, because nobody else wanted to put it out.
Right. He started out with the plays across the country, and when he started selling those out, when those started to sell out, that's when Hollywood started to pay attention and realize that we might have something here. And so he had
Hollywood didn't make his movies. Hollywood didn't make his movies. He made his movies with his own money. That's why he ended up with a regular 20% distribution deal. And Hollywood is kicking themselves for that, because they didn't believe he was going to be successful. They allowed it to happen. But Tyler Perry is over everything. Tyler Perry produced, starring it. That would not have happened if Hollywood had their way. That's why I didn't get my movies out for years, because I was trying the Hollywood system and nothing happened. Now, with the money that comes in, you will see how hard I work and how much I understand about stories and what my work ethic is. Because like Tyler Perry, I got a lot of content. So yeah, it happened for Tyler Perry like that because they weren't interested in doing his films, but they gave him an opportunity because he had the money to pay for his opportunity.
Right. So when he's paid for the distribution, but he owns all of that stuff.
All of it. So he paid for distribution to get it out there with Lionsgate. Yeah. Oh, he got the money for it. So when you have the money, you can pay your way in the way you want to. And that's why I'm raising capital right now. You guys help me to pay in. You got dividends on it. And of course, I'm giving points out for people that put down the big money. But you got to have faith in what I'm doing. And that's where we blow it sometimes, when we don't have faith in our own people. I am a solidified writer for 30 years. So the people not having faith, now the faith is going to be, but can he do it in the movie format? And that's what I have to prove now, the movie format. But I understand how to tell stories. I've been doing this for a minute.
Edek, what's up, man, baby? He says, what do you all think about how the focus is not really focusing on really talented Black artists now in 2020 going into 2021? So,
okay.
That was Edek. he was asking us how the
Well,
focus is not
again,
really focusing on sound.
the reality is our money is what we need to determine the focus on Black folks. And whenever I talk to a lot of African American investors, the first thing they say about, entertainment is that they don't understand it. They don't understand the business of film. They don't understand the business of music. And I always say, well, you need to grab a book or talk to other people, because that's where our kids are going. Sports and entertainment. They all want to be sports people or entertainers in some capacity, but we're not investing in them. And so that's why the Black focus is not there. We're not investing in our own people. I'm ready to do that with the actors, the directors, the camera people, the lighting people, the sound people. I'm going to employ dozens of Black people, young Black people. But if you're not involved in entertainment and that's what they want to do, you're not going to be involved with them. And so we have to get our investment people to understand how much impact we're losing by not being involved in sports and entertainment, where all our young people want to be involved in it. They do, so we have to understand that and start investing in our own people. We don't do that, and that's why we don't have to focus on Black art and Black talent.
Right. Dr. Umar Johnson a couple of years ago was on the Breakfast Club, and he mentioned that music is actually the second largest export from the United States, the first being drugs.
And who you think dominates the music right now?
Dominates meaning owning it, or
who has always dominated the sound of the music? Black people. Jazz music, hip hop, even rock and roll, they grabbed it and took it in the direction, but we started it. Disco, funk music, slow jams, Black
country.
people. But we still don't invest in it. We don't invest in it unless we're in the business. We get people that's outside of business and look, you don't have to understand the film and music business. All you have to do is allow me to go in there and make your money and I'll pay you. Right? But no, I don't understand it. You don't have to understand it. Just invest in me and I'll go in there and do what I need to do with it. But that's what we do, man. As our investors, we have to step up to the plate and understand that that is our biggest commodity. The biggest commodity of Black people is us and our creative talent. And we still don't understand that from our financial side. We still don't get it.
No, we don't get it. Financial side is, in particular, and that's really where the power lies. Money is power. People need to understand.
Money talks louder. That's the name of my next film, man. Money talks louder. And these kids know that now. So these kids are pushing their numbers on social media, getting these analytics, and they go straight after corporate America, and they starting to ignore Black people. You ain't got the money. You can't do nothing for me. They go right to corporate America. That is kryptonite for the power of our community when we have young, talented people who ignore us and go straight to corporate America because we don't invest in them. I'm investing in these young people. I believe in people. We believe in real estate. That's what most Black investors talk about, real estate. And I get it, but that's your personal family money. That has nothing to do with other people. I'm trying to employ other Black people and give them opportunities, and we need money to do that.
Most definitely. We need money to do that. You need money to grow. I just getting, if I can briefly back with Fly Girls, I saw that there was talks a few years ago, like Sanaa Lathan was supposed to play the main character. Is that something that's still in, or is it up for grabs?
Originally, we had 3 books for Fly Girl, and she grew up. And so Hollywood doesn't want to put a whole lot of money down on some young, unknown Black person. And so what they wanted to do was do the older version, which they feel a lot more comfortable about because Sanaa Lathan is a named star. But then when they started talking to directors and the people who know the book Fly Girl, they said, well, what happened to the teenage story? We want the teenage story. Of course, Sanaa Lathan cannot play a teenager, and that started the whole property because then they had to go back to the drawing board and write the teenage story that started it all. They didn't know how to do it. They didn't add me to add to it to write the screenplay. And so I had to write the screenplay myself. Now I have to go ahead and reacquire the whole property and shoot it myself. But that's going to take money. And again, it's not going to take 50 million, but it will take 10 to 15. And even when you say that, a lot of people don't want to shoot it for 10 to 15. It's a classic book, and I can't even get 15. It's sad, man, how we do Black properties. It's terrible, But yeah, I wrote the screenplay. You can actually read it on Amazon because I had published it as a screenplay on Amazon. Make sure everybody trademarked it, copyrighted, got it with the brightest screen shield and all that stuff. Did everything to make sure you understand how I want to tell that story. But now I have to wait for the power and the money to do it. So it would take at least a year or two to get that capital. And I have to start the process of what I'm doing now. So you have faith in me to shoot my own movies, and then I can go ahead and get the fly girl. But it's going to be at least 2 years to get to that thing. But I have to do at least 5 or 6 other movies so I can get the confidence of the investment people who would have to put the money down. Unless I make 15 million on my own in the next, that would be great. If I make my own money, then I'll do the Tyler Perry thing and do it myself. But that's what we're looking at. You have to have the capital to do it correctly. So all the people that keep asking about Fly Girl, I feel your pain, but until I have the money, nobody's going to do it because they just don't invest in black properties like that. At least not for me. It hasn't happened for me yet. Right.
Not even any mainstream black celebrities like since we mentioned Tyler Perry, did he ever reach out to, or if you ever spoken with him or Oprah or someone
When
like
Tyler
that?
Perry, when Tyler Perry first started doing his movies, he had a very strict no solicitation clause. So he didn't want you pitching stuff because he didn't want people saying, "Oh, you stole my idea." But of course, all my ideas are already booked. So if he can't steal my ideas, but you got to understand, in the black community, when we make a lot of money, we have this whole idea that everybody can do it. And so Tyler Perry's camp would look at Omar Tyree and say, "How come you can't raise your own money? You're Omar Tyree. What's the problem? Why are you coming to us to do it?" And so instead of co-aligning when you break something open, we actually look at the other person and say, "What's wrong with you? How come you can't raise your own money?" And so as much as we would like people to co-align and stuff like that, it rarely happens in the black community, man, because we all look at us doing the reinventing the wheel by ourselves. And so I can't even reach out to Tyler Perry. He would look at me and say, "How come you can't get the money to do it yourself?" "Yeah, I did it." That kind of thing. So it's sad, but that's how we treat each other. I got mine, go get yours. Go find somebody that's going to finance you if your books are that good, that kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah. And then on the flip side of it, I would want it to be my creative property. I wouldn't want micromanaging and all that kind of stuff. And so sometimes when you go to another creative person, it becomes conflicting. I really need just a financial person to stay out of the way. Let me do the creative, you do the financial. When we take our stuff to other creative people, they have opinions about the creativity, and that's not going to fly. I got my own creativity. You got your own creativity. Let's just do a business deal. But I would love to take stuff to Tyler Perry. But again, Tyler Perry has 1,000 people coming to him now. Omar Tyree would just be another name.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, well, best thing to do, as of what you're doing, is to just keep pushing, get that Kickstarter jumping. We're trying to get people to support.
You got to build it yourself. That's what Tyler
Perry
was saying.
I'm actually, I have a family. My family and I too. We have, like a spice company that we've started, and we're trying to push that as well. And we've been, it's just been a hustle. So I mean, that's all life is a hustle. You just gotta keep pushing with it. Yeah, man. So that's what's up. So something else I want to ask you. Oh, yeah, because you did mention you did a book on Marion Barry.
Right.
It was unauthorized. It was the autobiography of Marion.
Oh, that's the official. But I sat down with him for 11 months. No, it's not. It's the author. I sat down with Marion Barry for 11 months.
Authorized. I apologize. That's what I meant.
Yeah, it's not the one. That is the official book. Yeah, it's the official book of Marion Barry. From his mouth. I'm sitting there with my tape recorder, interviewing him day after day, translating, typing it up, calling him back to make sure the stuff is right. Yeah, we did that back in 2011 to 2012, and the book came out in 2014. And we have Hollywood people who are interested in those rights and don't want to put any money on the table. And I'm like, hey, man, there's no way in the world you going to try and get the rights to Marion Barry's book without putting money on the table, because it takes money to shoot the film. So you have to get the money first. And so, he has an ex-wife that is part of the property, and she will sit on that property until Hollywood comes correct. And she understands that you're not coming to me trading and bartering, because that's not how real business is done. And Hollywood, again, can we have the rights? Can we give an option on the right? If you don't have capital, man, like, what are you going to do with the rights if you don't? They want to shop it to somebody else that has capital. And that's the sad thing, man. We have capital, but we don't want to put it on the table.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Right. And
Yeah.
you sat with that man from 2011 to 2012 on this, working on that. And,
Yeah, 1 year riding up to DC, getting that story. It was the most tedious job because he was still sick. And a lot of times I would wait for 3 hours to get 1 hour. And then he wanted me to be face to face with him, so I couldn't do phoners. So I had to keep driving up to DC every week. And it got to the point where my sons were teasing me. Hey, is Marion Barry going to let you come home this week, Dad? It was crazy. But we got it done.
Yeah, he as when the book came out, he said in 2014, I think he passed away not too long after that.
Same year.
That same year.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it, and we had some marketing things we wanted to do with the book that didn't happen. And I'm looking at the book signings and stuff he was doing when all those people showed up to get him to sign a book and show him pictures. I think that wore him out, man. It might have added to it. And I had a lot of things that I wanted to do that we weren't allowed to do that we should have done. And then his book hit the New York Times bestseller after his funeral, but we should have been able to do that before his funeral. And I should have been able to keep him alive, man. But I learned a lot from him, and I'm going to utilize a lot of those things. Yeah. And one of the most important things I learned, he put a lot of young people to work in Washington, D.C. I'm going to do the same thing with my films and my music, putting young people to work. And so we got a lot of financial people in the Black community that are only thinking about investing in properties. They are not humans. I'm investing in humans and Black people, and they want opportunities in film and in music. That's what they're after. So I want people to understand that and support me as I try to do the Quincy Jones thing and produce a whole bunch of young people from the next generation.
All right. So Omar, you want a new high five, and Tevin Campbell's out there to do some more music, and some Michael Jacksons that'll be there. I mean, I applaud.
It's a whole lot. It's
Yeah.
a whole lot more than that. He actually put Will Smith on that show too, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was Quincy Jones produced that show. So, it's just not a couple names. Quincy Jones been around. Aaliyah. Quincy Jones was working with Aaliyah. He has more. If you look at his Wikipedia page, if you look, Oprah Winfrey, The Color Purple. Man, Quincy Jones has done a lot of stuff, brother. Barry Gordy, he was working with that stuff. You know what I mean? So Quincy Jones is that dude. So yeah, I got a big shoes to fill and try, but it starts with the capital right now, with me being able to do the small projects that I'm doing right now to prove that I know what I'm doing.
Most definitely, man. Yeah, he put on. You're absolutely right. He has an extensive catalog. The James Ingrams he
very
did.
Extensive.
Yeah. When Steven Spielberg was filming The Color Purple, he asked Quincy Jones, "Did you know anybody?" And he remember seeing Oprah because she was. I think she was still in Chicago or I don't know if she didn't have her show then, but she started out as a news lady.
Right.
And person who would be perfect for you. And that's how she got cast in The Color Purple. Although Roger King, he actually helped discover Oprah as well, because his dad invented syndication. But Marion Barry, though, man, a lot of people don't know too that the tangibles that he gave to Black people, especially out in DC. That's why he got reelected even after that incident that he went through in the 90s. But people didn't care about that. They looked at what he was. They looked at his record, bringing something. If you stand for the people, they're gonna back you.
Well, he invested in Black people, and that's what I'm ready to do right now with what I'm doing with Hot Lava Entertainment, invest in young Black people. That's the bit that I want to be involved in for the rest of my life, and I need our help economically to allow me to do so.
All right, Edex had something else to say. There are a lot of great fiction books written by Black people that should be made into films, but Hollywood won't touch them.
Yeah, we getting. Are you hearing the crack popping and pop in the audio? I don't know what's going on with it. Can you hear that?
Yeah, okay. I can hear it. I don't know if it's
okay.
We won't be on a little too much longer, but since you brought up Quincy Jones and Fresh Prince, he did executive produce that. Being that you are from Philadelphia, did you know of Will Smith, the Fresh Prince?
Yeah, see, even that question came in popping and
before
crackling.
he
I
grew
couldn't
up?
get the full question.
Oh,
Yeah,
hold on. Let me
yeah.
see if what I can do. I might have to move out of the room. Hold on. That might be better. I'll turn this off. Hold on. Give me 1 second, Omar.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm back. Yes, I had to switch over. So, oh gosh, we lost him again. All right, guys, I'm gonna try and get Omar back. Let me see. Uh, you guys got questions or anything that you want to ask? Let me know. 'Cause I don't think Omar's gonna be back in longer. Yeah, he was gonna work on an album with Tupac. Yeah, well remember he was engaged to his daughter. Tupac was engaged to one of his daughters, not Rashida, but what's the other girl's name? Rakia, is it? No, Kadaya was her name, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Quincy was engaged to her. Let me see if we can try and get Omar back. I'm gonna send him another email. I don't know what happened. Y'all contribute to that brother's channel, to his platform, omartyree.com. Look at investing in his film, Fly Girl, that he's trying to get produced. He's doing a Kickstarter campaign. Y'all try and contribute to that. Let me see if I can get him back. Y'all hold on. I don't know what happened. So yeah, man. What do y'all think so far? I think we're having a great conversation with the one and only Omar Tyree. Omar, of course, is an author. He's now a screenwriter and filmmaker. The brother has a lot of projects that he's talking about, getting involved in the music industry, getting involved in movies. He's not waiting on Hollywood. And that's the key with everything. You can't wait on others to do stuff for you. Otherwise, you're going to be disappointed and let down if you rely on other people. And I think, we can learn some things uh, from what's going on. So, yeah, Quincy did a lot. I was asking, let me put my fan on. I was asking Omar, and hopefully he'll come back if he knew the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Kadita. That's it. It was Kadada. Yeah. Y'all check it out most definitely. I'm trying to see if Omar, let me call him. By the way, I want to thank Valerie Denise Jones for getting this interview started. Hey, Omar.
I was just texting you. I got to charge this phone up a second. Yeah, that thing takes up a lot of phone juice. To rejoin. So,
well, look, we won't be. Well, I won't be much further. We could just do this from the phone if you need to charge your phone up. Yeah, it's no problem. Everybody can hear. Yeah, they can hear you because I got it on speaker.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So just yeah. But I was just gonna tell everybody, were you did you know Will Smith since you were coming up from in Philadelphia? Do you get that a lot? I said, do people ask you if you knew Will Smith personally?
Nah, because I'm not in those circles. You know, you have to be in a Hollywood circle for them to ask you. I'm not even in those circles. So, you know, when I'm in big circles, they're not asking about Will Smith. They just talking about this. You know, now, once I do people after I do, you know, 4 or 5 films, they may ask about Will Smith then. But right now, I'm not in those circles like that. So, no.
Oh, okay, but yeah, well, I know he was from Philadelphia, so I was just wondering if you guys had ever met, crossed paths. So
I saw Will Smith one time in Philadelphia. I have a grandmother that lives up the top side of where Will Smith is from in Overbrook High School. Overbrook is what he calls his company now, named after the high school.
right.
And they have a street, Lansdale Avenue, which is right in the heart of West Philadelphia. And I was walking down Lansdale, and I saw him about maybe 58th and Lansdale, which is West Philadelphia. And he was like Mercedes Benz. This is back in like the late 80s, early 90s. And I was walking on Lansdale, and he did one of those flyers on it, and I nodded back to him. I wasn't a man back then. I was back in college. I was just getting out of college. And he was the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, you know, that old days. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's before he was doing super big movies. You know, he was still on the show at that point. So, that was the only time I ever saw him. But yeah, we'll meet up.
yeah, most definitely, man. You just keep pushing it, bro. You want to do? I want to first off, while I got you on the phone. I want to thank Valerie, Valerie Denise Jones. Yeah, Valerie, I want to thank her again because she actually helped put this interview together. And Omar, you a real cool brother. So, yeah, man, I thank you for coming on here, man. I really appreciate it. This means a lot to the show and platform, and you're always welcome to come on. And I'll certainly contribute any way I can to your campaign, your Kickstarter campaign, because I'm also, as a writer myself, I'm interested in screenwriting and us control and movies and us controlling our images and controlling music, but most importantly, I'm interested in making money too. And I think people need to get on it because music, like I said before, it's a large export that we don't control. Other people control it and make billions of dollars. It's $1 billion. Right. Yeah, most definitely. And music publishing, book publishing, those are very, especially music publishing, that's very lucrative. Yeah, what you're saying, and you know, we need more entrepreneurs and people that think like you, because we got to rebuild, as Dr. Boyce Watkins says, Black Wall Street. That area in Tulsa. Yeah. Right. Right, you got to get involved. And I mean, if you have issues understanding the music business, the music publishing, well, they got books out there you could check out. They got a lot of books you can read and you can talk. I know people. I'll give you a story before you go, Omar. I know a brother by the name of Clyde Otis Jr. the third. Clyde Otis's father, Clyde Sr., was the first black A&R executive in a major record company. This was before Motown. He was with Mercury Records, and his dad started out. He was in the Marines, and he met Bobby Troup, who was a jazz composer. He wrote songs like "The Girl Can't Help It" and "Route 66" back in the day, like it was a hit for Nat King Cole. But he started out, as a cab driver when he moved to New York, and by chance, one of the rides he was picking up was a maid who was the music publisher, who was the maid to a music publisher, Nat King Cole's music publisher. So he had been writing songs, uh, in when he was off, and when he dropped her off, he said, "Would you mind giving him one of my songs?" And she gave it to the music publisher, and the rest was history. So, and he ended up writing. And I mean, he wasn't a man that knew how to play the piano or anything like that, but he ended up writing or co-writing at least 800 songs, including hits for Brooke Benton and Dinah Washington. So, and he owned his own music publishing, and he actually got threats from some people about that. But into selling it, but he didn't do it because he realized how powerful it was and how lucrative it could be. But yeah,
well, that's what it is, man. And respect and understand creative writing. So a lot of the young people I get involved with, I'm going to be teaching and looking for a young writer, some of those guys, and I'm the one that's going to respect them most. I'm going to build a whole world that outlaw entertainment. The same way Barry Bonus built a whole world in Motown, where you invite in the young talented people, and they all become a part of the hub. And they all end up making money. They all end up becoming this. You have to do like invest in people. I understand real estate. That's your own private hustle. Keep doing it, but still learn how to invest in our people. And I understand those businesses. We got plenty of people that understand those businesses, but they don't have the capital in which to execute as the bosses. And we have to do that in 2021, 2022, 2023. We can't keep complaining about America's system and we still say we don't understand it. We have to get to understand it.
get to understand it, get to the Kickstarter campaign for Omar Tyree for his new movie that he's trying to write, The Fly Girl, that he has written, but he's trying to produce and support him. Check out his books that are still on Amazon too, as well. Support those and support me at the Cash App you see, Gavin Richard Esquire and Gavin.grich1@gmail.com. And brother Omar, I won't take up much of your time, but did you have anything you want to throw in? Anything else you want to plug in right quick?
Well, again, you can follow me on Instagram at only one, the number one, Omar Tyree, and then all the other social media, just Omar Tyree on Facebook and on Twitter and on LinkedIn, all those different sites. And then the Kickstarter is going to go up later on tonight. So I'm going to finish putting my video up on that, and then we're going to rock and roll with it and see how many people I can get on my side, see how many investors I can get on my side, because this happens all the time. You end up seeing me in a year or two, Omar's way out in front. We don't know what he wants to do, but who has the financing to get there? And we always have to think about that as black people now. Who is financing our people to get where they go? And so we can't keep sitting on the fence, not believing in our own people. Here I am again, another talented black man who, if I don't get the financing from my own people, I'm going to get it wherever it comes from because I have to make it happen. I can't sit around for another 12 years waiting on us to say yes. I have to get a yes from whoever. I would rather it come from us, but it doesn't come from us. Now at the same time because we don't understand the business. Or we need to understand it and have confidence in the people who are already in it.
Most definitely, brother. And I applaud you. I applaud your work ethic. I want you to keep up the good work. And I thank you for joining me. And you're welcome to come on anytime. And we gotta stay in touch. So
Thank you, bud. Thanks for having me.
no problem. And thank you all for tuning in. This has been another edition of Gavin Richard Presents here on channel GBlue2786. Please subscribe, hit that Cash App as well as the Google Pay, and also subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to my other channel, Gavin Richard Self-Entitled. And I thank you all once again. I see Edek. He actually had a lot to say. Edek is said he's going to check out the interview from the top. He says we need more ownership in radio and television stations, as well as ownership in tech companies. Most definitely, reparations for Black Americans is a must. That will to finance the propaganda that is needed in our community. Positive propaganda, most definitely. Well, you can do that now. And thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You all be safe. You all be safe and be blessed. And that is it. Thank you, Omar.
You got it, partner. Thank you.
All right. Peace. Thank you, guys. Again, that was great. I appreciate it. Love y'all. And be safe and be blessed. I'll holla.